Chairman of the today's seminar. As chief guest is missing, a special guest, one of them is missing, and one of the special guests of our own, Professor Humayun Kubiz is here. Learned colleagues, my dear students, distinguished audience. Last but not the least, the central figure of today's academic ceremony. I repeat, academic ceremony. Mohammed Abu Saleh Mohammed Nijamuddin for presenting a very insightful and provocative paper. I especially thank Honorable Treasurer and Dean, Faculty of Arts and Humanities, Professor Humayun Kubiz, for taking initiatives to hold this seminar as soon as he has become the Dean of the Faculty. For a long time, we have been terribly missing these types of things in the academic centers. Academic centers should be crowned with academic achievements. It is a normal expectation. I thank Mr. Chairman, Dr. Shah Mohammad Sanawal Karim, Dr. Aziz, and other members of organizing committee to make it happen. I thank distinguished audience for making time to come here and spend your valuable time to listening to the speakers, paper presenter, and other discussants. Unfortunately enough, academic affairs like seminars and conferences should have been more regular and frequent in the highest seat of learning like IIUC. Reasons are unreasonably many. Corona period might be a scapegoat and excuse, but at the same time, it should have been a golden opportunity that we missed to exploit, intentionally or unintentionally. Like so many organizations, we could have arranged many virtual seminars and other things which required less hassles and less logistics, but we failed, collectively and perhaps individually also. However, today I take this opportunity to request Honorable, I have written here Vice Chancellor, but unfortunately is missing. They have taken or they have been entrusted with the responsibilities of this university. Still we are missing from them how to frame, how to organize, and how to declare the academic visions from them. But unfortunately, we are missing two of them who are holding most responsible positions in the department. I hope through chairman and through dean, our expectations, and they will articulate, and as soon as possible, they will declare publicly what they want here to flourish this university academically. I hope there should be even written academic letters to them what they want from us to flourish us academically. However, today I take this opportunity. Here today I feel disprivileged that there should have been a better discussants. I have already got two better discussants who have preceded me. I thank them. Though I have some minor disagreements with their points, but time will not permit me here. Fortunately, we have Mr. Iqbal and Mr. Morshed who have spoken very well. I would be very eagerly waiting. I thought that they would be coming after me. Another disprivilege is that I have been suffering from fever and diarrhea for the last few days, and this morning my mother has been hospitalized when I arrived here. And for the last 1 year, she has been frequently hospitalized for fluctuating health. So, with a troubled mind, I request you to listen to me for a few minutes. So, I could not take better preparation because of the disprivileges I had been suffering from. At the same time, I feel privileged also that I got a scope to formally interact with Mr. Abu Saleh Mohammed Nijamuddin, the paper presenter, whom I have discovered over the years to be one of the most laborious, most study-centered, most dedicated and sincere colleagues. And perhaps sometimes he is perhaps intolerably sincere. And his too long paper that generates fear for the discussions is a proof of it. Another autobiographical experience I note here: once I had to teach Derek Walcott. As soon as Mr. Istaruddin left for England, I was forced to take the course, and I had to teach Walcott. And I was struggling how to convince my students in the classroom. And at that time, I came across two journal articles by a so-called public university teacher. I say so-called because there is a misconception and there is a superstition widely circulated in Bangladeshi academic phenomenon that public university teachers are better than private university teachers. Unfortunately, I have to say today that Mr. Nizam's article, I can remember well, that is far better than the articles I came across. I do not mention the names here. Whose article I had come across, it should not be. But I have reasons to say that Mr. Nizam's article on Walcott or his penetrating comments on Walcott is more substantial, more provocative, and more penetrating than the article I read on Walcott by a public university teacher. So I can argue on to defend me, but this is not the place to do it here. Regarding Nazrul, I would like to be thankful to UGC, University Grants Commission, who has enforced us to include Bangla literature in our syllabus almost 15 years back. While I proposed to one of my teachers to do it, he very snobbishly rejected that in English department. Bangla literature might be what should I say, a derogatory word, but he was totally reluctant to do it. So over the years, we are in the decolonizing process, and UGC has forced us to include Bangla literature, and I think Nazrul is there, and this is one of the decolonizing process, which is one of the major concerns of today's presenter, and I hope he is very happy to find it. With these few words, let me concentrate on the article more particularly. I have already said that about the paper. I forgot to say that it is a well-structured paper and penetrating. Regarding abstract, in the abstract, the presenter has clearly argued what he will do, that is comparative study, why he will do, the comparison between two parts having colonized experiences, and how he will do it, that is methodology. These are clearly mentioned in the well-structured abstract of the papers, and I appreciate it. But regarding his choice of methodology, I think he could have been more precise, because the person he referred to or the methodology he referred to, I am not going to mention it here. He has perhaps 10 things to discuss. He has only used a few of them, so it should have been specifically mentioned here, I think. Regarding introduction, it is well written in many senses. In page number 2, the last sentence of second paragraph, he could have clarified more what he meant by post-colonial deceptive hegemony. And there are some, I was discussing with Mr. Iftagoruddin, there are some issues which need to be clarified either within the structure of the paper or by footnote. Suppose while listening to him, I noted some more points regarding our words. Sufism. Sufism is a hotly debated word over the world. What Nazrul's understanding of Sufism was. At least there should be a brief point. Suppose even among the Sufis, so far I know, there are so many debating issues. How they articulate and practice, how to practice their Sufism. So Nazrul's understanding of Sufism in the colonial context or in the religious worldview, things could be clarified at least by footnotes. Like these things which need to be unpacked more. I could say more unity of nation or capitalism. Capitalism has undergone so many changes. There are major aspects of capitalism. When Nazrul used to live, the world used to experience, in a sense, feudalistic capitalism, I think. Then came industrial capitalism. Then came financial capitalism. Then came marketized capitalism. So, the capitalism is in a sense need to be precise, or Nazrul understanding of capitalism, if there be any. Then I will literature review. Mr. Mohammed has pointed it that Walcott is missing terribly. Walcott is missing in literature review. Methodology, I have already said about that, and results and discussion. I think there are scopes to be brief. in line with Mr. Iqbal. I think there are regarding results and discussion. I think there are scopes to be brief and more precise, arguing around the central argument of the papers. Broadly speaking, I am not going to be in to speak it particularly. In conclusion, it is a well-rounded and appreciable conclusion. I think. Before I end my comments, I would like to comment reflectively on the whole paper that might give some insights to the audience and to the future researchers who are sitting before me. My reflective insights: number one, Nazrul's Islamic self has been articulated, but it needs to be further and further and further articulated. Why? Nazrul is either extremely proved to be a Muslim figure, or the so-called leftist or secular ideological groups probe him to be either non-communal. So what is Nazrul had to be researched in between? His non-communal vision, particularly in Indian subcontinent, though he is dreamt of an unity of nation, but it was, most of the people say that the partition was a historical necessity in 1947. So within so many historical turbulences and happenings, what Nazrul could be understood contextually needs to be articulated in more and more and more papers. And I hope the future researchers will undertake. Number two, Walcott. Walcott's lines have been quoted at the end. I am reminded of life not lost to American dream. So this very line indicates so many things in the complex world we are undergoing now. How our local dreams, religious worldviews are being undermined under so many global and local pressures. There are some hints in the paper, but based on this, we can further make so many studies. Number three, while appreciating any writer, any poet, or any literary or other figure, we must remember in mind that no writer is a prophet. Only prophets are prophets. But sometimes we so devotedly and so uncritically look at some writers, whoever he be, Shakespeare or Rabindranath or Allama Rumi or whatever, they are not prophets. What I mean to particularly is that he or she is not beyond contextual limitations. Only in Allah's agency, Allah's given agency, prophets could be timelessly ultimate, because it's a God-given agency. But every writer, whoever he be, in whichever continent he belongs, we should keep in mind that they have contextual limitations. That might be understood in many ways. So while we write or appreciate critically or uncritically, we must remember about the limitations of the writers, great and small. Thank you very much for listening to me patiently.